Brian Knows is brought to you by Meats of the Round Table Podcast. Listen to your beefy bones, Jamie, John, and myself as we eat the meats and good eats all around Southern Maryland and beyond. Check us out on your favorite podcast platform as well as YouTube. That's at Meats of the Round Table, spelled MEATS.
Let's start the show. It's Ryan Knows. So kick back, relax, and let him guide your soul. Around the windy roads of life to take you high and low. Trials and tribulations and acquaintance you should get to know. So maybe let him in to get a better sense and open up your heart and your mind to find a better friend who's experienced a lot in life and isn't perfect. As he looks for purpose, a deeper meaning as we dreaming in between the circus and beneath the surface.
Hi, I'm Brian, and I know Adam. Welcome to Brian Knows, Adam.
This is awesome, man. What a better place to have a conversation like this.
Right in the man shed.
About being nerdy.
Right. And it's good weather-wise because it's cold, but it's not ridiculously cold like when we go to film episodes in December. I don't even know what I'm gonna do. Like, I'll probably have Gavin outside with a fire and just kind of like pushing it towards here. Like, yeah. We'll figure out something. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. You've heard me talk about this. You know, I talk about stuff in repetition over and over, and this was an idea that I wanted to do just to be able to get people to know about things that my friends are into, right?
Yeah.
You know, so this is the funny thing about our relationship, right? Is we have only known each other since like June.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So it hasn't been very long. But I feel like in that time we've gotten close. We've shared a lot of stories.
That's
you
right.
know, some closeness, and I appreciate that. And so we know each other because you are the pastor of my church.
Crazy.
Right?
That's right.
Right.
The last 6 months.
Right, but it's been awesome. It's been
That's
awesome,
right.
and I've enjoyed the ride that it's been so far, and the fact that we've been able to share stuff, and not just about the church, but just that relationship
That's right.
that's gotten built. So anyway, so today we're going to talk about what you're into, but before we get into your geekiness, the thing that makes your nerdum about you, right? We're going to eat some food. So Shannon made dinner. So this is
What do we got?
So those are mashed potatoes. It's not like disguised cauliflower, and these
Feel
are
like I'm gonna
air
get
fried. I haven't had anything. I mean, Shannon's a good cook, but I'm not sure. These are carrots, right?
Right.
So, and then these are called barbecue burgers. So the reason that we're eating them tonight is that this recipe is something that her sister would make, and Gavin asked for it. So that's what we're getting. So,
That's cool.
You're getting into the mashed potatoes.
Dude.
So we do this thing, and it comes from meats. When we do it, every time we do our first bite, we cheers it. So since you picked mashed potatoes, we have to cheers mashed potatoes, right? So that's on you. All right. So cheers.
That was my
go.
choice.
There we go. I don't know if she made these or they came out of a
get to
box
eat
or a
part of
bag.
your
There you
plate
go. Oh, and then for the next bite, this is in honor of meats. You got to get on that mic while you chew, right? So, right. So you look like a person that definitely doesn't eat and talk at the same time, right? So this is going to make it more fun for
It's
you,
gonna
right?
be so
it's okay.
hard
it's
for
all
me,
right.
dude.
It's okay. I'm here to challenge you.
When I got stuff that I got to be able to talk through, man, I do
Yeah,
not
it's
eat
okay.
till it's over.
Gavin was, when we were doing the first episode, Gavin's doing it. He's like, and I'm like, I don't care. If there's stuff in my mouth, but I'm used to this because we've been doing this for a while.
Trying
So,
to get me to choke.
all right, so this is the barbecue burger. Yeah, get all in that microphone. It's like this. I don't know why people like to hear that, but
They like that ASMR, man.
I don't understand that because I know I would do that. I would change the channel if I put that shit up on my YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. So I would change that real quick. Unless I do like the tapping against like different things, but I don't want to hear someone opening their mouth. And that was the thing. We had people.
Yep.
We had people from the other podcast be like, we need to see a video. And I'm like, I don't really think that you want to see that, but some people, I guess they like what they like,
That's right, man.
So you all are getting that now because of that. Okay. All right. All right, so we're talking about what you're into, and yours is gaming, right? But like,
Yep.
so Gavin talked about online gaming, him getting into Fortnite.
Okay.
Yours is not, right?
No, I've been an online gamer. I grew up in that era. My first system was the N64.
Okay.
So grew up playing a lot of that. Super Smash Brothers, GoldenEye, a lot of those first games
Okay.
would have been my first console. Then I jumped to the PS2, and now I own a PC, and I'll play that. So Black Ops 6 just came out, and that was what I was doing all weekend with my friends.
So
from
you're
high
are
school.
you strictly when you're doing online when you're doing gaming like that? It's only PC.
Yeah, I've moved to a PC the last year.
Okay.
I had an Xbox for a little bit, and I got tired of buying consoles, so I said, let me buy a PC, then I don't have to upgrade it as much. I found out now I just have to upgrade everything in it instead of buying a console every 4 years.
That's very affordable.
You
were
say, oh,
very
now I have to
smart
get a
about that
graphics
one.
card, now I have to get storage, now I need to get lights, all that. So yeah, got that last fall. But no, what I'm into is tabletop RPGs. So we play online with a group of friends. We've been playing now with this particular group for the last 5 years, every Tuesday.
Okay, wait. So you say RPG,
Yep.
role playing games,
Yep.
right? So this role playing game that we're talking about is
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. This is
So-
the D&D episode.
Got into Dungeons and Dragons during 5e.
Okay.
Would have been 7 years ago now.
Wow.
And so much so that on my inner arm, I have dice tattoo now.
Okay, that's
hidden in
awesome.
here.
Okay, I get it. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. And, you know, it was funny. I was thinking about this for how I got into it. I was in seminary. We said that I was a pastor. So when I was going to school to be a pastor, I needed to make friends. My wife and I had just gotten married, didn't know anybody, moved to New Jersey. And I had my friend Brett Foote, and he invited me to play this game called Dungeons and Dragons. Said he had a couple of guys that played it.
Now, did you know what that was?
No, my first question was, but do I have to dress up? Because I thought that was a deal breaker.
Did
for
he
me.
say yes? 'Cause
No.
that would've been great. That would've been
Yeah.
great. You go to Party City, you're going to buy this dragon costume.
And the funny thing is, my friend Corey that joined us too a year later, Brett also invited him. That was his first question too.
Okay.
Was, do I have to dress up?
See, he's not a good friend that he didn't lead you the wrong direction. With,
Yeah.
You know.
That was my deal breaker. It was like, I don't think I want to try this. If I have to like LARP. You know, that's a different. It's a different community, different version of nerdom.
So, all right. So you found out there's no dress attire, right? Like certain, well, I mean, you had to wear clothes, but yeah.
No, so instead there was a group of guys that we were meeting in this little study late at night. For some reason, we always started playing at 10 p.m. It was a different era then.
Okay.
I do not play that late now, but we would, day would finish, wives would finish, we would hang out, wives would go to bed, we'd go downstairs, we'd all play this session.
Like,
And-
how long would it last?
Sessions are 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
And back
And you had
then-
classes in the morning, right?
That's right. But I
Right.
mean,
okay.
dude, at that point, you're starting at 9 or 10 for
Okay.
your day. It's
All right.
nothing.
Okay. All right.
But what was funny is like, man, that was old school. That was the bring out the foldable, grab the expo marker and draw your dots and squares for where
Okay.
you're at on the map. And the rest of it was all imagination, you know. Now, because I'm in a different group, different campaign, and we live all over from DC metro area to Virginia Tech to North Carolina, different places. So we play online. So now you can use maps and you can use images. You can have character art.
So
stuff
what
like
what like platform do you guys use to be able to do this online?
that. Roll20 is
Okay.
what it's called.
And is that made for D&D?
It is.
Okay.
And then they have D&D Beyond, where you can make character sheets, has all the backgrounds, all the lore, what all
Okay.
the spells are.
Okay.
And that way it integrates and you just click, you say, all right, I'm going to do this move.
So
or
you're
this
not
thing.
you don't have this in a notebook somewhere?
I've started taking notes, but
Okay.
there's a really big Google Doc that has like 39 pages of
Okay.
the last. We've been playing this current campaign I'm in now for 3 years.
Okay.
This is year 3 of it.
All right.
So there's like 40 pages of notes.
So when you're playing online with friends, like, so you brought your dice. Are you using your dice at home, or is there like a button you hit and it just like automatically
Well, that's
rolls?
the best part. Yeah, is that I'll buy a different set of dice for a different character just for fun. So
Wait,
like
wait,
different
wait. So
color.
wait. So each character has a different dice, or that's up to you.
That's up to you. That's up to you.
Okay.
And come on, man.
So what are your character? You have different character names.
Yeah. So in this campaign, you know, different worlds, different story arcs that you're playing, and Kurt, our dungeon master, has created this world that we've been playing in.
I thought you were saying your name was Kurt.
No,
Like,
no,
you couldn't
no.
come up with a better name than
Of
Kurt.
all, we're playing a
Kurt?
fantasy game,
Right,
and my
right.
name's Kyle. You know, like, but in this campaign, in this world that Kurt's made, my character's name is Zyrith. He's dragonborn, so he's half dragon, half human, and he was a tough guy, the champion, strong guy in his village, but he came from nothing, doesn't know his parents. His village is behind the times, so they don't really have technology. So everything new that he finds in the world is new for him.
Okay.
And you have different stat blocks when you play D&D. One of them's intelligence. I always make my characters dumb. It's just
Okay.
more, part of it is I don't have to take notes
Oh,
because
that's good.
my character's dumb.
Okay, all right. So all right. Number
Yeah.
one, is there a certain hat you wear when you're playing this? Like for each character, do you have character hats? And if
I don't have hats.
You need to. Abby needs to make some for you, right?
I do. Tonight I wore my Dimension 20 hat that has a D20 on it, which
Okay.
is a bunch of improv actors that play Dungeons and Dragons.
That's
So
got to
it's
be
comedy.
awesome.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. So the name, right? What was the name again?
Zyrith. Yeah.
Zyrith. Did you come up with that?
I used just a fantasy name generator for a Dragonborn and said, yeah, that looks good.
Okay, all right, okay. And then the backstory. You come up with the backstory.
Yeah.
So this can be whatever you want it to be.
That's the fun part of D&D for me is that imagination and
Yeah,
that scope.
yeah.
And you know, depending on what table you're playing at, and I say that to talk about whatever group you're in, you know, there's different rules you'll agree on in the world. So the world that we started with was we were going to an adventuring academy. So we could come from a bunch of different backgrounds in the world, but we came to a place to learn how to be adventurers. So there's different classes, professors, stuff like that. And then the whole thing went to crap because there's some overlords in the world that are trying to leverage what we're making. And it's been a long thing. And
Wow.
but that dungeon master gets to set some of those rules, but then you as a player, you get to help make a lot of that stuff. Like
So who decides who's the dungeon master?
a lot of the times we joke in playing D&D that it's whoever wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons and didn't know anybody that played.
Okay.
So when you start, you get to be the person that has
So
to
you're the-
run it for
okay.
everybody else.
And so during the game, that's when you make up the rules, the laws, or I mean, are they considered laws or what are they? What are they considered?
So D&D 5e has rules in a player's handbook. There's
Okay.
a whole hundreds of pages of
Okay.
here's your background, here's the things that you can do according to your class. Helps dictate a lot of that. But at your table, that dungeon master has the final say for, yeah, I'll allow that. Yeah, we're stretching that, but that sounds funny as crap. Let's do it. And,
Now, is there times where you get somebody that you think would be good to play and it's just not a good match?
oh, for sure.
Or is that the overlords that you're talking about?
I know, for sure. One of the things that I love about D&D is that it's collaborative by nature, right? This is not a solo adventure. You can't play it alone. You can't just run through and railroad your table. You've got to go on this adventure with these people because you got to make the story make sense for why your character belongs with these other five people.
Okay.
And the trope is you always meet them in jail or a tavern is how these always start.
That's how a lot of good friendships start, or church.
Or
There's
church.
it just kind of jumps to the other end of it.
And but then from there, when you go to make decisions, you know, we've had a moment in our last campaign, same group of guys. This guy for 3 years was planning to betray our whole party. Like his character was gonna go rogue, was gonna
So
go
he
against.
this was like he really thought about this.
He did, and
And
it hurts.
how'd you find out?
Oh man, I can't remember. There was a huge turn where, you know, there's deities in these worlds, these people that you follow, and there's a huge reveal and turn in a moment in this campaign. And I remember, like, you feel real emotion. You're like, I'm
sure,
hurt now. We've been
right?
playing this for this
Right.
long, and you've been keeping this.
Did he have like a vlog that showed like this timeline of like, well, this is what they think I'm doing?
Yeah, you get done with the session too, and you start talking through, and you're like, wait a minute, that moment, and you can kind of see it. And it's funny because it is world building,
Yeah.
like over these hours,
Okay.
over these years. All of
Okay.
a sudden, you're telling this big story together. But still, The reason I mention that though is, there has to be rules and respect at the table for it to go well, because people that come in that either they want to be the hero, they want to be a solo person, they want to drive it how they want. If they're not willing to collaborate with what's at the table, it's like, it's just not fun.
Okay.
And it's like, we do this to have fun.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, I get it.
And so if you're not willing to be able to be open, or if you're so focused on the rules that it's like, this is why I'm going to make the strongest character and I'm going to break the game. Like, I hate playing with those people because I'm there for the story.
Right.
And there's story and role play moments, and then there's combat. And for me, if I had to weigh the two, I like the story element more than just the combat. And let me do these spells, or let me see how strong I could be, or how we could beat the bad guy. I'm there for the arc that we're on. I'm riding that bus wherever we're going.
So you talk about the campaign. How long does a campaign last? And is this set, or is this something you all decide this is how long it should be?
Yeah, that dungeon master gets to pick. So some of them are as short as, you can pick a 5 to 6 episode kind of deal. But the ones that I've played in our current group, this is our second campaign. We've been playing for 5 years, and I think we're 2 or 3 years into the second campaign.
Oh,
So
okay.
a couple years at a time.
Okay.
The cool thing was when we went to, we're all scattered around, but when we went to finish the first one, we said, what if we all get together and play for a weekend? And so all of us drove in to a
That's
common
awesome.
place.
That's cool.
Spent the weekend
That's
and
cool.
said, hey, let's do this thing right, man.
And then you drank a bunch of Surge, right? You brought Surge back. Do you remember Surge?
I don't.
What?
What's
It was so. I don't know your age.
Is
So I'm
it pre-Monster?
45. Oh my gosh, yeah. So I remember coming out when I was 18, right? Wow. So yeah, there's an age difference, but I remember I was so excited where I lived. There was a 7-Eleven nearby. So when I turned 18, that meant I can drive after midnight now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. So it wasn't about going and buying cigarettes or like Swisher sweets. It was about going to 7-Eleven and buying Surge and 7-Eleven pizza. So yeah, Surge was like Mountain Dew and Sprite together, but it was oh my gosh, yeah. I wish you could get some.
That was our in high school, our routine, because we didn't grow up far from here, was go to Wawa, get as many Mountain Dews as you could,
Yeah.
and whatever if it was a Wawa hoagie, or they didn't do pizzas at the time, but it was like load up on snacks, and that would be the Friday night playing Call of Duty.
When I used to work in St. Mary's, I had this thing in the morning, and I'd get home and I would work out, and I had a trainer, and I'm telling him, he's like, and I said, I don't know why I'm not losing weight. And he said, well, what's your diet? I said, I don't eat breakfast. He said, you don't do anything? I said, well, I go to Wawa and I buy this Mountain Dew energy drink, and I drink half of the really tall Mountain Dew and then pour the energy drink in there.
Oh,
but I don't know why I'm not losing weight, but that was, yeah.
200 milligrams of caffeine to start the
Man,
day,
that had you
man.
going. Yeah, I get it. I mean, those drinks are what goes. Okay, so your dice, right? So is this the symbol? We can't see it. You're gonna have to put it at an
I'll hold
angle.
it
There
up.
we go.
Yep.
Look, there you go. You got your own monitor, aka the phone. This is this the symbol of Dungeons and Dragons or no?
It's just a D20 and a dragon.
Okay.
But this was, I wanted something for my dice to live in, and then the top is a roll, a place for me to be able to actually roll.
Okay, all right.
So
These are all different.
They're all different dice, all different sizes.
So hold some up to the
I got
camera
you.
so you can see.
My current campaign is this red dice for Zyrith because he's dragonborn.
Okay.
And he's from the Blood Red clan, and it's sparkly. But so you roll the D20 the most. A lot of the smaller ones are for spell attacks, for damage, or for other things, but your D20 is your staple.
Okay.
The first set that I ever got was given by my friend Lance, who was the dungeon master of that first campaign.
Okay.
So that's these purple ones. That was for half stack. He was
Wait. I just watch you roll it.
Yep.
Or like, do you practice that? You do.
No, I
Abby,
don't
does
practice.
he practice?
I bake it so it rolls really well. No,
You're
so it
like
only
high school
rolls good
playing
dice.
Craps. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
exactly. But that was for my first ever dungeon master. Gave me my first set of dice, and that was for half stack. He was a short little halfling, so
Okay.
he's like 3 foot. He was
Okay.
fat, and he was a bard, so he was always trying to win people over.
Okay.
And then this one is I bought from, there's another nerd show to waste time on, which is Critical Role. and
Okay.
they're a bunch of voice actors that play. But I don't know how I've kept up. They're in campaign 3. They're on episode like 110, and these are
Wow.
like 4 hours at a time to watch.
Because they're playing.
They're playing
Okay.
every Thursday.
Wow.
And if you want to watch them
Dedication.
play, which means I've watched over 400 hours just on this campaign of these people playing Dungeons and Dragons.
You have a good family, and you're a pastor, and
That's
you do
right.
50 million other jobs, but yet you have to, you good for time
Dude, you
management,
gotta
you
have-
dude. No, that's good.
Got to have your fun thing.
Hey, I get it. I get it. All right, so this is the one that you're using right now. This is your campaign
Yep.
right now. Okay, all right. Where would I go if I wanted to buy them? I'm sure Amazon has them, but
Yep.
is there like an official like Dungeons and Dragons website that it's like it's better to buy it right from there?
Yeah. The answer is always your local comic book store. So the
Okay.
same thing, man. Every nerd has their own thing. Like I find Warhammer overwhelming.
Okay.
When I walk in a comic book store and Warhammer has its own like painted minis, all of its own lore cards. I have no
Okay.
idea how all that works. But comic book shop, man, it's the place for nerds. You can read about it. They've got stuff
Okay.
to read comics on D&D, but then also to be able to get dice sets.
But Charles County doesn't have a lot. Like Third Eye, are they still open?
Up in
That's
Waldorf,
Waldorf, right?
Yeah, they're still open.
Okay. When Walking Dead was popular, right? I'm not saying it's not now, but they had their like Walking Dead commercial. Did you ever see that? No, sorry. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. And then St. Mary's Leonardtown had one, right? I don't remember what they're called. It might have been like Uncle Larry's House of Comics.
Was
or
it
something.
downtown?
It was. Yeah, it was in the square. I think I
think
went in
it's
there
there
looking
anymore.
at some Funkos. Okay, so they're hard to find, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there's one shop. It's a vape shop in La Plata that
They
on
sell D&D stuff.
they do. So you walk in the front and it's all vape. But if you're in the drive-through line for Dunkin' Donuts, in La
Yeah,
Plata,
I know what you're talking
and you
about.
look to the left,
Is it Grit Roll?
it says Crit Roll
Crit
Gaming.
Roll. Okay, yes,
but
yes,
you
yes,
have
yes.
to go through the vape
Through the
shop,
vape shop,
and in the
okay.
back there's D&D tables, and there's a bunch of Warhammer stuff. Which,
Okay, all
like
right.
I said, I have no idea how that works.
Okay, all right, all right. I know we're gonna have somebody on here that plays WoW.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So like I know none of this, so this is good for me. So I'm learning a little bit. Here's my problem when it comes to games, right? So my time when I was growing up, I remember when Atari came out.
Yep.
And I remember my grandma getting that, and all I'd like to do was chew on the joystick, right? And it would make my grandfather mad, right?
Yep.
So, and we had this ET game, I could never figure it out. And then when we all got good grades, we got a Super Nintendo, and that was when they had track and field, and you learned on track and field
Yeah.
that you could just go to the thing and run like a Jaguar, right? I never got into it, but my thing was I did Magic, okay? I don't like board games.
Yep.
And the reason why is that we would play Parcheesi. This is what my mom thought was fun, okay? And every time we play, she would win. And every time she would win, she would get in my face and say, I won, you lost.
That's what my
I won,
toddler
you
says.
lost. Right, yeah, not a woman in her 40s. Unfortunately, that's why I won't play games. So when Gavin thinks he's funny, he's like, you want to play Parcheesi, Dad? I'm like, you can go out of the room. Bro. So it's hard for me to see, like, I think of board games, and honestly, like, when I think of D&D, that's where I go. But when I see this, it's a whole nother thing. Now, I played something in high school one night, and I kind of thought it was the same, but it was role-playing. Now, this was on VHS. It could have been on Betamax, but there was a wizard you watched, okay? And this wizard would walk you through these things. And I played it with a bunch of guys that were actors at Port Tobacco Players. And I knew one of them, like one of them was a magician. I didn't know the rest of them. And one had a wizard costume on. And I'm like, what is going on? I had the most fun of my life. This thing, doing a role-playing game was incredible. And like you were waiting to see, like you would pause or fast forward to a certain section. So I get the whole role-playing. So mixing the role-playing with it being it's not considered a board game, right?
No, they really talk about tabletops, like they call it tabletop RPGs as its own class of game, because it's really all it requires is dice, and then it's really funny because then all of a sudden a game that is like, oh yeah, get a $5 dice set. Then I'm like, oh, but I need the comics. But yeah, I also want to get the shirts. Yeah, I also want to get the merch, and it keeps going. Or
I get that. I get
the
that.
handbooks, and then you
Okay.
start owning these things. And some of it is just, it becomes, okay, this is how I read. This is my fantasy. This is how it gives my brain free space to play.
So is that the reason you keep doing it now? Is because like this is a time for you to check out from other stuff, which we all need. That men
Yeah.
need that, women need it. We all have to have that one thing, that one passion that's set aside from everyday stuff, you know. And I think that's our time that we kind of rest our mind, you know, the regular mind we're using, and now this allows for this other side to come out. I think that's healthy for relationships.
Yeah.
But I think it's good for ourselves as well to be able to have that. So my version is weird. Like mine's doing podcast or just things that
Yeah.
people be like, why would you do that? Like, you know, is it to make money? I'm like, no, everything is driven by passion. I'm
That's right.
spending money, right? So sometimes what I do is like, I'll open the shed door and I'll just look around. And the reason I look around, and it's not about having these stupid tchotchkes. It's because they remind me of different things. They remind me of when we were in a store and something funny Shannon did or Gavin did.
Yeah.
It is they're broken down memories for me. So that's why, you know, that's my thing. I mean, it looks really weird. Like if you were to drive by and you just see this guy standing outside of his shed staring in, you know.
He's
But
just having a moment. Yeah.
so if say I wanted to get started, what is the easiest way for me to get started? Would I go on Amazon? Would I try to look for a comic book store? Like I'm sure there's like YouTube tutorials that are gonna be like, hey, you know, play along with me, and this is how we would do it.
So honestly, the best thing that I recommend if somebody's interested in D&D and they're like, okay, how do I start, or what does it look like? What are my expectations? Is to watch Dimension 20, because they're 90-minute episodes. So they're better short form. That sounds funny in terms of content, because that's not short form. But 90 minutes in Dungeons and Dragons would be a short session. So it's a good way to be able to consume the content. They're funny because they're improv actors.
Okay.
And they're looking for certain beats. They're looking for bits. They're looking to tell the story. So you get a little bit of combat, you get the jokes, and you can track along and say, oh, I see how this world works. Now, the other thing for like how I got started was I can't trade the experience of having my friend Lance sit me down and say, well, what kind of person do you want to be? You know, do you want to be good? Do you want to be evil? What background? Were they wealthy? Do you know your parents? You know, did you come from a school? Yeah,
Well,
the tragic Disney princess.
They left me under this bridge.
Yep.
With half of a hoagie, right?
And the funny thing is the longer I play D&D, the worse my backstories are. You know, you see a new character, so excited, and they'll write 20 pages, and then all of a sudden it's like the old Seinfeld thing of, I'm the trash man. I just want to get in the ring.
So like, but can you add on to that story as time goes on, or do you have to have this set backstory?
No, the cool thing is that playing at a table or in a campaign, you're co-creating, you know.
Okay.
So I'll make, for my backstory with Zyrith right now, I knew there was another character, there was another guy that we played the last campaign in, and then in the last campaign for 3 years all we did was fight. And that was because my second session with him, I joined a campaign that was already moving, and in my second session I killed his dad on accident. And I felt so bad.
That's on you, man.
Yeah. So for the
Normally
next 2
kill
to 3
somebody's
years,
father.
So for the next 2 to 3 years, that was the
So, like,
how do I make amends?
Right. Yeah. Now, where does this relationship stand now? Is it good?
It's good.
Okay,
So
good.
and we always knew, like, you leave these things at the table, you know, you can't make it personal. But so in this next campaign, I was like, we need to be brothers because I want us to be friends.
Right,
in
and
this
you
campaign.
push that, right?
Yes.
You're like,
I was like, I don't want to spend.
right, so if I
time
kill
doing
somebody,
this.
that's my dad too.
Yeah.
Right?
And so we started there. So we knew we were going to come from the same village. And then we asked, well, what would that village be like? How did we get dropped off there? What's our background going to the school? And we agreed on that and the deity that we were following at the time. So the big dragon from days of old. And what does that mean for how we interact with the rest of the world? But that was kind of it. And then you get these snapshot moments in these long stories where all of a sudden you go to your character's hometown and you're like, it's my time to shine. But I don't know what's in it. You know, my dungeon master has made all the other non-player characters, the NPCs.
NPCs, okay.
They've made the taverns, they've made the local watering holes, the town square. How do people do government and fight about things? So you kind of walk in discovering, and it's all surprises, and you'll ask them and be like, should I know this person or no? And then you can kind of negotiate of, is this something that my character is familiar with, or is this all new? And you get to make it together. Okay. And that's the fun part, is like, oh, this is the highlight for my character's backstory. But then there's sometimes that your DM just rips your heart out and takes something for your backstory and says, oh, I can use this to hurt you.
Wow. It all depends on how their day was.
Yeah, right? That's right.
Right.
And
so you start the conversation before you play. How was work today?
Exactly.
Bad? Yeah. I gotta go. We're gonna play next week, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Has there been anything crazy that's happened like when you were playing?
So the big reveal for my character last campaign, his name was Spout. He was a water ganassi, so he's half water, half man. And
a water ganassi. Okay,
yep.
All right.
And
sounds like he's like partly in the mob, but
so he had come from. I said that he was following. He was leaving a follower of Cord, which my DM turned into a cult, and so. When we went back to the village, I was so excited to see everybody, and then they were all demons instead. And so this big turn was like, oh, I'm glad to be part of my old temple, and let's explore all of this. And then it was like the big twist toward the big bad that we're fighting in it. And I remember I was like, that hurt. I didn't know that this was in my backstory, but you kind of find this out live.
I wonder how much of this was inspired by Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Possibly a lot.
The thing is right, there's only so many tropes and so many narratives when you go to play nerd things, you know?
That's
so
okay.
all of it plays together.
That's all right. That's all right. All right, cool. All right, well, I mean, this is a good introduction. I feel like I've learned a lot. I'm going to have to watch the episode again and again. Maybe if I watch it on different phones, that'll give it more views. So that way I understand it. Okay. All right. So I know this has been awkward for you eating. You ate more than me. Mm-hmm. I'm impressed, right? So like
that burger was really good.
Right. So it's a barbecue burger. Her sister would make it all the time. Again, Gavin wanted it. We haven't had it in forever. So that's why we had it. I mean, I still have the mindset of being a 15-year-old boy, and everything I eat has to be like handheld. Like Wayne and I were talking about it after church yesterday. I was like, I don't know why it is. And we actually brought up Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I said, when Shannon and I were dating, I'd get home. This is when people had TiVo. Do you know what TiVo is? Okay. Yep. I don't know the age, Adam, so I'm trying to like.
I'm 30.
So I'm 30. All right. Okay. So I'd get home. Well, I'd turn on the TiVo and it was Buffy. I loved the fact, because I like monsters, so every episode was a different monster. That was the whole thing. I love special effects, so like I'm watching it, I'm looking for seams, I'm looking for stuff in their makeup. Anyway, I'm a dork, so I would watch that, and I would eat 2 peanut butter sandwiches, a bag of Utz potato chips, and a gallon of milk. Right. Can't do that anymore. I wonder why I have health issues now.
The gallon of milk is crazy.
Dude, I know, but it was nothing for me.
Yeah.
It was nothing for me. I took care of my grandmother. She had dementia, and she made sure that whoever did her grocery shopping, there was always a gallon of milk, right? So there'd be a couple gallons. Dude, now I'm lactose intolerant, so like can't even enjoy
you
ice
killed
cream.
Whatever that was that processes milk.
Dude, I don't know. So that was my thing. Anyway, so like handheld. So even I see this and I'm like, I want to pick it up, but it's okay. I mean, I like it. It's good kind of combination with the carrots and the potatoes. Like everything just kind of equals itself out. Carrots make it feel like it's healthy, right? I guess
it balances the rest of the meal.
Sure, there we go with all the barbecue sauce. So like I shared with you about how like that was my favorite thing to make, right? So I will do leftovers. Or eat like a 15-year-old boy, and it's some kind of, sandwich or whatever. What's like when you're at home? What's your favorite thing to make? Like not make for the girls. Like if it's just like you say you're home and it's like I want to grab this, but you enjoy making this and eating this, what would be that go-to for you?
Gosh, man, that's a good question. In all honesty, right? Like, if I didn't have Abby, I wouldn't survive because I don't cook a lot in our week to week. Like, I do it with the girls. I transport them to and from school, do a lot of that stuff with them for homework, but I don't cook a lot out of the week.
But making sandwiches is considered cooking in my eyes, so you have to understand that.
Yeah.
Right?
But I can't even claim that. My claim to fame is that every day I'll get up and make sure that I start Abby's car and I make her coffee.
Okay.
But she packs all the lunches. She packs she gets us all ready to rock, dude.
So you just you would not survive.
So when I cook, there's two things that come to mind, man. The first is every year I'll go and I'll make our pumpkin bread that I made when I got my first job at a coffee shop. It was this pumpkin bread recipe at that place. And
so you don't cook, but you will make a pumpkin bread.
I will. And the best part is I will bake once a year and look at Ab and be like, I'm the baker in this household.
Right. Because you were making that pumpkin bread.
And but if I actually had to cook something, right, like it's the difference of then, I'll smoke meat. You know?
Yes.
And so my favorite thing that I'll smoke is ribs.
Okay.
Doing the 3-2-1 ribs, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
And I usually make two different kinds. Abby loves Old Bay.
Okay.
And there's never enough on things.
Old Bay on pork is incredible. Like, it doesn't have to be just seafood. Like, it is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'll do a garlic powder, Old Bay, red pepper flake rub.
Now, do you rub it on thick? Like, do you? So,
yeah.
Okay.
Because there's never enough Old Bay.
Right.
I'll still do it, and then Abby will put more on it once
That's
it's
awesome.
done, you know? And then mine, I always do like a brown sugar barbecue. So grab some kind of sweet.
It'll caramelize, and yeah. That's good. You need to do that with like pork belly. Do you get into pork belly, or is it too fat for you?
Well, it just takes so long.
I know
it
does.
11 or 12 hours.
So I've only done pork belly once, right? And I was excited. And for some reason, like, I love fatty, or at least I thought I did. And I went to eat it, and the thought of all that fat, like, I didn't trim nothing. I trimmed nothing. The thought of all that fat really bothered me.
Yeah.
So I went around, gave it to my friends on the island. They loved it. They swore it was incredible. Like, I took pride in the rub.
It?
I took one little bite. But I couldn't, like, for some reason. So now the sight of pork belly makes me sick.
Really?
I don't get it. I don't know why. And my friends are like, this is incredible. There's a video on this YouTube channel of that pork belly. But
Do you like the lean side of brisket?
No.
Really?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't mind it if I'm making burnt ends. I want the fattiness. But
yeah, that's me.
I leave my fat, like, when I'm trimming it, like, that much on there. Because I really like it for when I'm cutting into it. As Gavin will say, he'd be like, watch that waterfall. You know,
that's right.
I really like that. So, but it's something with pork belly, because Gavin's like, why don't you try to make chicharrones? And I'm like, that's not going to work out. So, that just doesn't happen for me. And ribs, I get tired of ribs. But it's because I've had so many bad oven versions of ribs.
It's dried out. Yeah.
It's just not good. Or like, God rest Shannon's mom's soul, she would buy these Tony Roma's, like, ribs off of QVC.
Yeah.
And, like, it was every week. And it reminded me of growing up, because growing up, there was 4 of us, and my parents worked all the time. So my mom would make a big meal Monday, and that lasted you through Thursday.
Oh,
And my mom wasn't a good cook. So, like, you made sandwiches out of everything. So it was like,
I used a lot of ranch dressing growing up.
I get it. I was Hellman's. Yeah. I just used Hellman's on everything, right? Some stuff didn't work out so much. Okay. All right. So let's say it's you, right? And you are able to go to whatever fast food restaurant. Now, you're not a beefy boy, so I am. So I have what I call my secret fast food meals.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're breakfast, or sometimes it's lunch. Luckily, I've been good and I haven't had one in a while. Because this is when bad Brian comes out. And it's like, so I used to have this thing, right? So Shannon said when we lived in White Plains, she would say, do you mind picking something out? And then she would say to me when I got home, "What was your appetizer?" So it was a pre-meal that I ate in the car on the way to the
And
home.
she knew.
Right. So if I got a Big Mac meal from McDonald's, she knew that I had 2 cheeseburgers on the way to the house, possibly a small fry. Like ridiculous.
Yeah,
I was bigger. Like I was around 340 then.
Hey,
Okay.
man, that's when McDonald's was still like $1 a thing, though.
Yeah,
that'd be
dude,
like
it's
$30 right now.
You're getting a French fry for $5.79, and that's you get 3 fries. So if you stop by any fast food place,
Yep.
what fast food place would it be?
Yep.
Like, what would it be?
So honestly, like comfort food, had a bad day, long day, is fast food fried chicken, like every time. And
Okay.
that is one of the biggest debates that I'll have is the tier list of, fast food fried chicken.
Okay.
But I love the fried chicken sandwich and we'll try it anywhere.
Okay, but what's the spot? I mean, like
I will go to Popeyes
Yes.
if there's not more than one car in the drive-thru.
so typically the La Plata one's not bad.
If there's more than one car,
Okay,
it will
all right,
take
okay.
an hour
Waldorf,
at that one.
Waldorf Popeyes by close to Lowe's.
Yeah.
That's always a horrible line. But the
Yeah.
one in La Plata, you can get in pretty quick because, and that is a crunchy one. Now, are you a pickle and chicken guy?
I am. Yeah.
I can't get it.
And,
I don't get into it.
But I don't do a lot of like spicy sauces on
Okay.
stuff. And
Okay.
honestly, look, I have been on a Cane's kick lately. And some people think it's the most unseasoned
Gavin
chicken.
loves Cane's too. So okay. So are you doing the cane sauce?
Yeah, but
Okay.
but my complaint on Cane's is that I swear those fries are just out of a freezer section bag. Anytime I see crinkle cut fries, I
Okay,
just assume
okay, I get it.
that they're
I get
not
it.
made.
I get it. I'm a shoestring fry guy, so that's
Yeah,
why
yeah,
like
yeah.
if we pick anywhere fast food, I want to make sure it ends at McDonald's with fries. But that's just because that's just what I like. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So you would pick Popeyes or would you go to Cane's? But Cane's doesn't have a chicken sandwich, do they?
Well, the way, yeah, that's also true. But the other thing is that Popeyes is on the way home, man. So that's the deal breaker. It's
Right,
right
so
on the
wait,
side of
so
the home on
you're-
the drive
you're not
home.
going to
I'm not
KFC.
going to Cane's.
No, but what about KFC?
KFC is good too, man.
Okay, all right.
But no, we've thought about a lot of it's nostalgia for me, man.
get it.
Bojangles has a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Because when I used to go visit Abby when we were dating in college, she was in school in North Carolina. So
Okay.
we would fly down and I'd be able to get Bo-Berry biscuits and be able to get
Yes.
fried chicken on a Sunday morning, and
My-
it was sweet.
My friend Arnita, her son used to work at a Bojangles, and she said she loved it when he came home because he smelled like biscuits every time. And I'm like, that is wonderful. Now I remember when I worked at Ruby Tuesdays, I had what I called my Ruby Tuesday shoes, and I had to leave them in my car because if I went inside, my shoes smelled like Ruby Tuesdays. So biscuit smell would be ever. Okay, all right. So one last thing, and we're gonna end it. Okay, so I want you to give one great idea. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to know how to make this work.
Yep.
So Gavin's one great idea was he wished that he could go up to this machine and it would brush his teeth for him. Okay. So what would be and I'm sure I didn't give you any warning.
That's
what would be
hilarious.
your one great idea for today? No, remember, doesn't matter how you would get it accomplished. Because maybe someone that's watching will figure it out and say, Adam, I figured this out.
No, dude, if there was anything, I'll put it in D&D world. I had this conversation today. I don't want virtual reality. Virtual reality freaks me out.
Okay.
My body responds like it's too real, so I don't enjoy it. I want to be able to play tabletop RPGs where you can pull the landscape out in front of you, like
Okay.
hologram style,
Okay,
you know?
okay.
I want to be able to walk in and immerse and see it actually play. It'll beat the expo marker days of
Okay.
just drawing out circles and squares. But I want to be able to sit down with my friends at a table and actually visualize that world my character can play in front of me.
So it's kind of like Minority Report. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
Where he's doing but if it actually was there, no, I think that's more
That's
realistic than Gavin walking up and it brushing his teeth. But I'm just saying, okay, well,
That's a lot of. What do you need? A bunch of projectors? What do you need?
I don't know. Somebody can figure it out.
That's right,
That's not for you to figure out. Well, okay. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for explaining Dungeons and Dragons D&D. So now we know more. You do get something. There's a party.
Is there a surprise?
There is. You get a BKB. Okay, so you'll find out. So Thank you for being awesome. I got this from work because I found a Pokemon at work. I'm just saying. You got to put it to use. Okay, so reach in here. You get this is a BKB. Don't look. Just whoa, whoa. Okay.
I just have to.
Just go in there, grab one.
Is this
Let's
when
see.
I'm gonna find the shrunken head? Is
No, this
goes?
is not the shrinking. All right, let's see. Show the camera. What did you find? That's your Brian Nose Baby, your BKB. Hold that tight. So the reason I have these is we were at a thrift store and Gavin goes, "Look, Dad, it's a bag of babies." So there you go.
That's awesome.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate and review it. Give it 5 stars. If you can give it more, then give it less. Tell somebody about it that doesn't know about it, or just annoy them as much as I do at work, and to my friends that are tired of hearing about it, and they remind me that you've already told me about that, Brian. Don't forget to subscribe. That way you are notified of any new episodes and to see if there's any more Meets of the Roundtable episodes that come out. And check out, there'll be a comment in there on the online store. There is a Brian Knows t-shirt that no one will buy. So thank you for coming on, Adam. No, nobody wants this face. It's that image that's right over there. You can't see it. All right. Thank you for coming on, buddy.
Thanks
I appreciate it. All right. That's Brian Knows.
Brian knows, yeah, Brian knows. Good food, good ideas, that's how it goes.
Hey, Adam.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on.